What's the address?
911 failed my wife and failed my family.
The final hours of this young mother's life
I came home after I got off work.
Were horrific.
Found my kids in the house by themselves.
Denise Amber Lee was abducted.
A stranger named Michael King took my wife, kidnapped her in broad daylight.
From her home in Northport in 2008.
Proceeded to rape her and then murdered her.
Her husband, Nathan,
There were multiple 911 calls made.
believes she could have been saved.
Multiple witnesses that saw my wife.
Denise even made a call to 911 herself, begging for her life.
But because it was from a cell phone and it was in a moving car, they were unable to find her.
Almost a decade later, technology has evolved and we have smartphones that can pinpoint our exact location. But the NBC2 investigators have learned that 911 centers
Is there an address there?
are behind the times.
If Uber can pinpoint my exact location, why can't the 911 centers?
We are relying on information provided from the carriers. The 911 centers do not have any control over the accuracy that is provided.
The Charlotte County E911 coordinator agreed to let me test cell phone accuracy from inside the dispatch center.
This right here indicates that it's wireless phase 1.
Using AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile.
So it shows the address of the tower that I bounced off of, which is Technology Boulevard, which is in that direction.
My calls continually ping cell towers 3 to 4 miles away.
3.7 miles from my location right now.
And the dispatcher could not pinpoint my location.
It would be hard to find me if I didn't know what my location was.
And is that because we're inside a building and a lot of barriers?
Correct.
The NBC2 investigators have learned that the system used by 911 was designed almost 20 years ago, back when people relied on landlines. And this isn't just a Charlotte County issue. This affects every 911 call center across the country, including this one in Lee County and this one in Collier.
I called the 4 major cell phone carriers, their lobbying group, and the FCC. I learned that new rules will be going into place to make the system better. But there's a catch. They don't have to go into effect for another 4 years.
Collier County 911. What is the address to your emergency?
What we do is we're able to capture more sensors on your smartphone.
Michael Martin thinks he has the answer to the problem.
So in addition to GPS and cell towers, also barometric pressure, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth information.
His startup company that's made up of Ivy Leaguers and former FCC executives has developed technology that can send your exact location from your cell phone to 911.
And that could really make a difference in terms of the response.
Rapid SOS is perfecting its technology by working with 911 centers across the country.
This is just going to be a regular 911 call, and Bob's actually going to show what's coming in today, and then we'll show the new technology as it comes through.
So we decided to test it out from inside Collier's dispatch center. And again, we called 911 using all 4 carriers.
So this is on AT&T.
And every time, Rapid SOS pinpointed our exact location within seconds.
We can even pinpoint where we are indoors inside the facility here.
While Collier County dispatchers, relying on the current system,
So probably 3-4 miles away.
struggled to find our location.
It's very frustrating. I mean, I'm sure it's the same way for the community, and a lot of that information is out there, but it's not available to public safety.
So several miles versus within a few meters here of location.
Martin tells me Rapid SOS is working with the cell phone carriers and the FCC to get this technology embedded into our cell phones before 2021. But the FCC would not comment on their relationship.
If this testing is going on, why aren't they updating media and updating the public?
I think there's a desire to see those results before they speak publicly about how good or bad it's ultimately going to end up.
So while the FCC waits to release results,
Not much has changed at all.
callers are waiting too
I'm just perfect evidence.
for help that didn't come 10 years ago
My family's evidence.
and isn't coming now.
My 2 boys without a mother are evidence that this is unacceptable.
Even if the Rapid SOS system gets embedded into cell phones, it will take years for most 911 centers to catch up to the technology. For the NBC2...
What's the address?
This chilling 911 call comes from Denise Amber Lee, a young mother who was abducted from her home in Northport in 2008.
A stranger named Michael King took my wife, kidnapped her in broad daylight, proceeded to rape her and then murdered her.
And Nathan Lee believes that his wife could have been saved.
There were multiple 911 calls made, but because it was from a cell phone and it was in a moving car, they were unable to find her.
And nearly a decade later, not much has changed. And while the FCC has created new rules to help dispatchers better locate wireless callers,
is there an address there?
Cell phone carriers have until 4 years from now, 2021, to provide accurate locations for 80% of all wireless 911 calls. Right now, carriers only have to provide accurate locations for 40% of all wireless 911 calls.
It's a very serious problem, and that's a too much time to wait.
4 years is a long time to wait, especially when you're talking about a service that's so critical.
I wasn't aware of it till I saw, your story on television, and becoming aware of it, I think it's something we have to address.
We talked with commissioners from Charlotte, Collier, and Lee counties, and all agreed that 4 years is too long to wait for an up-to-date 911 system. But they tell me their hands are tied.
At the local level, there's not an awful lot we can do, much beyond what you're doing and trying to bring this to the public's attention.
But they say we can talk about it.
It's on the federal level, but we can start lobbying and let it grow. I mean, I think the state of Florida should weigh in on this, the legislature.
I also tracked down Southwest Florida Congressman Francis ROONEY.
I agree with you. It's kind of ridiculous that we would be using cell technology that pings back to a tower.
When I asked the congressman what he's doing now to address this problem, he didn't have a quick solution.
Like you say so correctly, that many things operate off of GPS right now. Why not have the EMS system and the emergencies 911 system?
His best advice is for you to take action.
People can write into the FCC, they can write op-eds, letters to the editor, they can make the points that you're making here and that I'm trying to make as well, that in this day and time with GPS, we should be using it for emergency response if possible.
And in the meantime, if you find yourself in an emergency, try to pay attention to your surroundings.
Nobody wants to call 911, but when you do, you really hope they know where you are, because there's nothing more important than your location.
And remember, the dispatcher on the other end of the line may be as helpless as you are.
They may know what's wrong, but if they can't find where you are, they can't help you.
For the NBC2 Investigators, I'm Rachel Polansky.
A Florida lawmaker is taking action after the NBC2 investigators exposed a fatal flaw in the aging 911 system.
We found out that dispatchers can't always pinpoint a cell phone call's location, even though that technology obviously exists. NBC2 investigator Rachel Polansky has been pressing lawmakers on this issue. Rachel?
Senator Bill Nelson has introduced legislation to get the 911 system up to date. As we've been telling you for months now, the FCC created rules to help dispatchers better locate wireless callers. But they gave cell phone carriers 4 years to do it. And Senator Nelson says that's not fast enough.
The Charlotte County E911 Center agreed to let the NBC2 investigators test cell phone accuracy from inside the dispatch center 6 months ago.
This right here indicates that it's wireless phase 1.
Using AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile.
So it shows the address of the tower that I bounced off of, which is Technology Boulevard, which is in that direction.
My calls continually ping cell towers 3 to 4 miles away.
3.7 miles from my location right now.
And the dispatcher could not pinpoint my location.
Collier County 911, what is the address to your emergency?
Over at Collier County 911 Center, we did the same thing, but this time we partnered with Rapid SOS, a New York startup company that has developed technology that can send your exact location from your cell phone to 911. And again, we called 911 using all 4 carriers.
So this is on AT&T.
And every time, Rapid SOS pinpointed our exact location within seconds.
We can even pinpoint where we are indoors inside the facility here.
While Collier County dispatchers, relying on the current system,
It's very frustrating. I mean, I'm sure it's the same way for the community.
struggled to find our location.
And a lot of that information is out there, but it's not available to public safety.
A few months after that report aired, NBC2 took our findings to lawmakers, talking with Southwest Florida Congressman Francis ROONEY.
I agree with you. It's kind of ridiculous that we would be using cell technology that pings back to a tower.
As well as commissioners from Charlotte, Collier, and Lee counties.
It's a very serious problem, and that's a too much time to wait.
4 years is a long time to wait, especially when you're talking about a service that's so critical.
I wasn't aware of it till I saw, your story on television, and becoming aware of it, I think it's something we have to address.
Senator Nelson's bill would not only speed up those upgrades, but it would also let you text audio, video, and photos to 911 during emergencies. We'll, of course, keep you updated as this bill moves forward. For the NBC2 Investigators tonight, I'm Rachel Polansky.